story begins in June of 1561, in the bustling city of Cadiz on Spain's Atlantic coast. It is from here that many set out to brave the challenges of a new world. For it is said that beyond the Atlantic, fame and fortune awaits the fearless and the brave. It is this hope which one day leads a young man to embark on a long journey after a number of hapless years. But hope has a most powerful enemy, fate. And so it comes to pass that the ship is beset by a terrible storm, but a few days' journey from the New World. The storm damages the ship severely, and a huge wave sweeps the young man overboard. The next morning, he awakes, senses befuddled, and all hope gone. But this time, fate proves gracious, for the accident took place on the busy trade route between St. Augustine and Port Royal. So the young man, clinging to life with the last remains of his strength, is rescued by a Spanish merchant ship. Delighted that they were able to rescue a fellow countryman, the ship's sailors listen avidly to news from the home they have not seen in so long. An elderly passenger mingles with the sailors, and his eyes light up when he hears of the young man's origins, for he too is from Cadiz. His name is Pedro de Vega, and he is the Spanish Viceroy's commercial attaché. It is at his side that the young man enters the New World, breathing deeply of its heady scent. Here, his dream of a better life will be fulfilled. Of that he is sure, and his newfound friend promises to help him along.
Once again, allow me to welcome you to Port Royale, the seat of the Spanish Viceroy here in the New World. I will help you settle into your new city more quickly. I have had a small ship anchored in the harbor for you. You will find the city's most important buildings near the market square. Click them to perform different actions. There you will also find your first warehouse. I will get back to you once you've sold your first goods in another city. Welcome to Port Royale. This is your hometown for now, in which you already even own a warehouse. You can adjust the level of magnification and the camera angle at will. The city view shows all of the buildings in the city. These include action buildings, homes, and businesses. At first, the action buildings are most important for you. They are always in the center of town. You can enter them to perform certain actions, such as here in the dock, the most important building. This is where all of the trading for the entire city is done. If you have a convoy in port, you can select it directly. This displays data on the convoy on the right. Note, convoys consist of one or more ships and have a captain. More on that later. To send your convoy out, you must first leave town and go to the nautical chart. Here all the cities you know are shown. You can adjust the area shown and zoom level just the same as in the city. Select a destination city for your convoy, and then select Send Convoy Here. Now you can see which route your convoy will take. If you have nothing else to do, you can also speed up time. Once your convoy has arrived in another city, you can then trade there. You can either enter the city or trade directly between the city and your selected convoy. In the trading window, the goods on board your convoy are displayed on the right. In order to sell them, select the goods and move the slider towards the city. Then confirm the trade. I will explain the significance of the prices and quantities displayed later.
Nice to see that you are entering into trade with our city.
Now that you know how to transport goods between cities, you can do me a favor. Please send your convoy to Port-au-Prince and buy 100 barrels of sugar. We need this sugar here in Port Royal for rum. I now want to tell you more about products and prices. Most importantly, there are 20 different commodities, and each commodity is required in every city. But any one city can only produce a maximum of 5. The commodities must therefore be traded between cities. Most of this is done by the many traders you meet at sea. When a city produces a commodity, they usually also end up with surpluses, which you can buy cheap. If you then sell them somewhere where that same commodity is scarce, you will receive a much higher price. In the beginning, these trading profits will be your main source of income. In the trading window, those commodities which can be produced in the city are marked. The current stock of the commodities will also be displayed. Remember, only buy when 2 or more bars are showing, and only sell at less than 2 bars. For example, Port-au-Prince produces sugar, and therefore often has a large amount left over for export. If you buy this product now, the displayed price per barrel may change, because the more goods you buy, the scarcer that commodity is in the city. This can lead to the price rising sharply, because it is always subject to the law of supply and demand. So always watch both the price and the stock of any given commodity. Although Port Royal produces no sugar, it does need some for its citizens and rum production. And indeed, the price of sugar is actually higher than the average price paid. Of course, the law of supply and demand also applies when selling a product. Therefore, the price of a given commodity may drop when selling. So always watch both the selling price and the stock of the commodity traded before you confirm the trade. Incidentally, if a city is lacking too many commodities, its citizens will become dissatisfied. You can view the current satisfaction in the city information. It is also influenced by events. This is also where your popularity in the city is displayed. Selling scarce goods helps to raise it. Good. Now you know how to earn gold through trading. No matter which path you follow later, never forget that you must keep an eye on prices. Don't worry, you will find that it soon becomes very easy. And that's important because you will need a lot of gold if you want to achieve a higher rank. Higher ranks open an entire host of new possibilities. I leave you alone for a while now, as I have an interview with the Viceroy. I'll be back soon. You are sure to have noticed this area of the HUD. Your current cash balance will be displayed here. Above that is your current rank and your progress towards advancement to the next rank. Initially, progress is determined solely by your assets, whereby those assets consist not only of your money, but also your buildings, ships, and goods. As your wealth increases, so does the progress bar. Once it is completely filled, you progress on to the next rank. This is important because you can only perform certain actions once your rank is high enough. For example, you must have a certain rank to speak to architects and governors. You can see what you still need for the next rank in your logbook. It also contains a great deal of other useful information, such as your current reputation among the different nations. But I will tell you more about nations and your reputation later. For now, the important thing is that you attain the next rank. In the beginning, it will be easiest for you to do so by trading. An example, Port Royale produces rum, for which they require sugar, while Port-au-Prince produces sugar, but no rum. Santiago could use both, and has wood to offer. This is ideal for a small three-legged trade. Very good, that's done. Now we come to ships and convoys. Here you have to remember, single ships have no crews and therefore cannot be sent out. To use a ship, you must either convert it into a convoy or add it to an existing convoy. It then automatically receives the mandatory basic crew. By the way, only one captain is required per convoy, and his skills can improve over time. Single ships are of little use, because they have neither a captain nor crew. You can only actively use a ship after you have either converted it into a convoy or added it to an existing one. To add a ship to an existing convoy, both convoy and ship must lie at anchor in the same port, and the convoy must be selected. Then you can enter the Harbour Master's office. Here the harbour is displayed on the left, with the selected convoy on the right. You can now add the ship to the convoy by selecting it on the left. The free ship is now gone from the harbour, as only the largest ship in a convoy is shown. Your convoy now has 2 ships. The cargo space and number of cannons have increased accordingly. The convoy display is divided into different areas. Under goods, you see the goods loaded. The next area is particularly interesting. It shows your convoy's fighting strength. Per convoy, you can define up to 3 ships which are to defend the convoy in case of battle. You can let these battles run in the background. You can also fight any battle yourself and control your escort ships manually. As long as no escort vessels are defined, the convoy's fighting strength is 0. The number next to that shows how great it could be if you declare the strongest ships battleships. You can have this done automatically. You can also manage your escort ships yourself, but more on that later. The important thing is that fighting strength is mostly determined by cannons and a ship's condition. But the sailors also play a major role. Your cannons reload fastest when your convoy has at least 4 sailors available per escort ship cannon. This will maximize your convoy's fighting strength. Whenever you meet another convoy on the chart, you can immediately see its fighting strength. This way, you can estimate how good your chances against that convoy would be. One more thing. The captain area lets you see how much your convoy costs per day. Every ship requires a certain upkeep, from which the captain and crew are paid. There are also additional costs for any additional sailors hired. This overview also shows you what experience your captain has. Captains automatically learn more when they perform certain tasks. For example, if a captain is often embroiled in naval battles, his battle experience increases. There are also extra teachers for captains in the Caribbean, whom you will sooner or later meet in the city taverns. They will train your captains for a fee. Good. But now for something completely different. Elena, the daughter of the Spanish viceroy, has a diplomatic mission to New Orleans. The tensions between France and Spain require that she travel as inconspicuously as possible. I therefore suggested to the viceroy that you would provide her passage. She will board your convoy secretly, which should protect her from potential adversaries. At the beginning of the game, only a few cities are displayed on the chart. You can discover other cities by approaching them with a convoy. The city symbol itself gives an indication of the city's size. It also shows the commodity the city currently needs most. Special events in the city are also displayed on the chart. You can view all of the information by opening the city information. It belongs to the dockyard building, which you already know from the trade window. Even if you cannot enter a city because you have neither warehouse nor convoy there, you can still open the city information from the marine chart. The city information tells you everything you need to know about a city. The most important factors are nation, population, the commodities producible in the city, and the city type. The latter indicates whether the city is a simple colonial city or home to a governor or viceroy of that nation. This has implications for the city's size, its defense, and its demands for commodities. The reputation that you have with the city's nation has the following effect. If your reputation is less than 25%, the nation will view you as an enemy. That will happen, for example, if you attack their convoys. Then you should be wary of their military convoys. As you've already determined, 4 nations are represented in the Caribbean: Spain, England, France, and Holland. Your reputation with each of these 4 nations will always be shown here. Also shown here is the current relationship of the nations to one another. A nation can either be neutral to all other nations, at war with, or allied to another nation. Relationships between nations are not irrelevant for you. However, they will only play a role when you act for or against a nation and have acquired a letter of marque against a different nation from a viceroy. All that is important at the start is ensuring your reputation in a nation does not fall below 25%, and that the military convoys of nations at war are constantly fighting one another. You can enhance your reputation in a nation only by accepting and fulfilling assignments for an administrator, governor, or viceroy of that nation. These assignments are offered in the city palace, but you need a certain rank to accept them. One more thing about the chart. Each maritime area is associated with a particular power. You can turn the display of this political information on or off at any time. The flag and its intensity shows you which power has the greatest fighting strength here. Normally, cities and maritime regions belong to the same nation, as that nation's military convoys will be patrolling the area. Things become interesting when the city and the maritime region belong to different nations, because then the city might just come under attack.
sounded like a simple, easy trip to New Orleans, conducting a young woman to a diplomatic meeting. Yet, she does not like the fact that she has to travel with commoners to remain undetected. And she is also unhappy as she suspects the real reason for her meeting with the French Viceroy is simply a chance for him to present his son. The young captain notices her anger and tries to cheer her up, at first in vain, but eventually she laughs, and her radiant eyes burn themselves into his soul. But then she thinks of her mission, and the fact that it is unseemly for a woman of her station to give a common sailor any more attention than is absolutely necessary. And yet, that moment is all it takes for a young man to fall in love with a young woman.
Excellent. You've discovered a new city, and Elena arrived safely in New Orleans. We can only hope that her mission is successful, and that relations between France and Spain soon improve. She will stay a while before returning home later with another convoy. Well, you've learned the basics. How it goes from here depends on which path you have chosen.
A young man tormented by the thought of Elena being forever out of his reach. Even if their paths were to cross again at some point, why should she give him more than a passing glance? After all, he is just a nobody. His chain of thought is interrupted by an excited discussion between two captains at the next table. The Viceroy is looking for an aide for his commercial attaché, Pedro de Vega, to further promote the prosperity and wealth of the Spanish cities and the colonies. It must be fate. If he held the post of aide, he could prove himself to Elena. But it will not be easy to convince the Viceroy. He painstakingly prepares himself for a perfect audience. With his friend's help, he is granted an audience. At first, the Viceroy pays him but little attention, and Elena finds it impudent of this young captain to consider himself capable of such a responsible position. But Pedro de Vega's persuasive arguments lead the Viceroy to take a closer look. He sees the determination burning in the young man's eyes. Finally, he nods.
My congratulations. You've actually managed to convince the Viceroy. He has asked me to help you over the next few weeks and to assign you tasks designed to train you to be my aide. In order to gain a better insight into economic relationships, your first assignment is to increase your social standing. To do so, you must increase both your wealth and the capacity of your ship's cargo holds.
Cayman suffers. The city has long been neglected by traders, and the supplies are exhausted. The people are hungry and they cry out for help. Elena loves Cayman, for as a child she spent much time there. She promises the residents support, but is not up to the task herself.
Good, good. You managed to increase your social standing. And now your next task awaits. Surely you've already heard that a famine has broken out in the city of Cayman. This can easily happen, especially in cities which themselves produce no food. Help improve conditions in the city by delivering food as quickly as possible. Your currently selected convoy has fewer sailors than it could have. The convoy should have 4 sailors on board for each cannon on a warship to ensure the best possible rate of fire during battle. Please remember that a city's administrator will offer you contracts. These contracts usually have something to do with supplying the city. They are not only financially rewarding, but also increase your reputation in the city and the nation. Even a small celebration. Do you wish to do? A hurricane is raging through the Caribbean. Ships caught in a hurricane suffer more damage than their normal wear and tear. Hurricanes also cause severe storms and affect the production of goods whenever they sweep over a city. You remember Elena, the Viceroy's daughter? You might be interested to hear that she is the one who persuaded her father to aid the city of Cayman so quickly. I think one of her cousins lives there. I suspect she will be keeping a special eye on you now. You have a free ship in port which is not part of a convoy. Before you can send the ship out, you must either add it to an existing convoy or use it to form a new one. Would you like to be the benefactor who donated the goods for a small celebration? Well done. I'm sure the city of Cayman will soon be back on its feet. The Viceroy now has a new concern. There is a shortage of cotton in the colonies. As Port Royale can produce cotton, we can kill two birds with one stone here, as it'll help Port Royale to grow. The construction of new factories and homes is always done through the architect's office. In a new city, you must first acquire the appropriate licenses from the architect before you can start construction. You already have the necessary licenses for Port Royale. To build a cotton plantation, switch to building construction and select the business. Here you can see which building materials are needed and how much the building materials, construction workers and the property will cost. The architect takes care of everything and purchases the building materials for the city. The charges vary according to current commodity prices in the city. If a city does not have enough building materials in stock, you will have to pay the maximum price for them, and construction will not start until enough building materials are available. Once you confirm construction, you must then place the new building. Since the production of cotton requires both a main building and a field, the new business will require 2 adjacent open spaces and can then accommodate 25 workers. If you want to build another business of the same type, you can choose another space straight away. If you build a new one alongside an existing one, this adds a new field and expands the existing main house. The cost does not change, but it will allow you to save space. A plantation may consist of a main house and 4 cultivation areas and can accommodate up to 100 workers. You can proceed similarly with residential buildings. Here, however, each residential building requires its own construction site. On an average, each business requires 1 residential building per field. For example, a plantation with 4 fields requires 4 residential buildings for the workers and their families.
I'm glad to see you investing in our city.
Congratulations on your new plant. The goods that plant produces are delivered to that city's warehouse daily. From there, you can do what you will with them.
I have valuable information for you. Here is my information.
Excellent. Your new buildings are now under construction and soon to be completed. Each business can absorb a certain number of workers, and each worker needs living space for himself and his family. Now that you've provided both jobs and housing, you could still attract new settlers to the city. They're sure to come on their own sooner or later, but helping things along is good training for you.
Lately there has been talk of another young captain. Pablo Galliano has braved storms, fought pirates, and supplied those in danger of starving. Elena is pleased at the chance to award this man a decoration, for she greatly admires his dedication. But not everyone in the crowd shares her enthusiasm.
Oh, did you see that? It seems Elena has her eye on this Pablo Seville. She positively adores him. I'm curious to see if you too will one day succeed in winning her respect, because that certainly would not hurt your reputation with the Viceroy. But enough chit-chat. Let us get back to your tasks. You have attracted settlers to Port Royal, which was good work. Always remember, citizens, workers, sailors, and even the troops stationed in a city are all dependent on a steady influx of settlers. For Port Royal to continue to grow, you must now build 2 rum distilleries. Don't worry, once your rum production really gets going, it will turn a very good profit.
Your popularity in our city has risen even further.
Welcome. For once, we have no problems to report.
Congratulations. You have now built your first plant requiring raw materials to produce goods. Please remember that these raw materials must be available daily in that city's warehouse, as a plant always picks up raw materials from the warehouse. Very good. Your new rum distilleries are now fully staffed. As with all processing plants, you have to make absolutely sure you always have enough raw materials in stock, as otherwise production stops. As your plant grows, the time will come when you can no longer manage the transportation yourself, at which point you should set up trade routes that do so automatically. For practice, you must now set up your first simple trade route. Trade routes allow you to transport and trade goods automatically. To do so, you select a convoy and tell the captain which cities he is to visit. Then you have to specify a general trading strategy for the route. You can also give detailed instructions for each city. To set up a trade route, you must first select the cities your captain is to visit. To do this, you switch to your convoy's trade route section and select Setup. Then you select the cities one after another. Once the last city has been visited, the convoy returns to the first one on the route. Of course, your choice of cities plays an important role, as trade will be best between cities which produce different goods. Next, you have to decide on a strategy for the captain to follow. You can select a preset strategy, or you can specify just which goods the captain is to buy, sell, or transfer between warehouses and convoys for each city individually. At the start, you will find the preset strategies work well enough. Even in later stages of the game, they still work well, for your captain always adjusts his actions to suit current conditions. So you need not readjust the route when, for example, a city gets bigger, or if you have increased the production of goods. Once your business grows and you start producing goods in more and more cities, there is another helper you learn to appreciate: the storekeeper. You can hire him in the warehouse. In essence, he has two functions. Firstly, he can automatically sell goods in stock to the city at good prices. Second, he can also prevent certain goods from being taken for trade routes, which can be very important for badly needed raw materials. Trade routes and storekeepers together form two important pillars, which will help you to build a powerful trading empire without having to worry about too many details. Greetings. I'm afraid I must inform you that we are lacking resources here. Cast an eye on Port Royale. Your currently selected convoy does not have a warship. If you want your convoy to defend itself against attack, you must define which ships are to be warships. Select warships on the right of the convoy display, and then click on a free warship slot. Alternatively, you can simply click the Max button. This maximizes your convoy's fighting power. Excellent. Your first trade route is up and running. It would obviously be best for your rum distilleries in Port Royal if you were to produce the required sugar yourself. This can be done in Cayman. As you know, that city is particularly dear to Elena's heart. She has therefore persuaded her father to have us help Cayman along a bit. But before you can produce in a city, you must purchase a production license from the city architect. And to do that, you must be very popular in the city.